Well, good evening, my friends. Welcome to another edition of Bedtime Stories with Pastor Michelle. I do have a fun smile on my face, and you want to know why? Well, I just hosted, for those of you who know, a fact about me. I am a big fan of Superman, and one of the things that got me hooked, well, the thing that got me hooked on Superman is a show called Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, that premiered September 12th, 1993, starred Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. Anyway, I'm part of a Facebook group for Lois and Clark fans, and tonight I actually hosted my own trivia. It was a lot of fun. I had 3 rounds, and there was people playing from all over. There was people playing from the UK, from New York. It was amazing. So I just smile because that just brought me joy, and it was fun that people we just came together to talk about a show that is amazing, and I had some pretty good questions that I wrote, and people did pretty well with none of them got a perfect score though. So I think my questions were pretty good. Anyway, in case you wanted to know that's why I have a smile on my face, because it was just it just makes me smile to talk about Lois and Clark, because it's been a part of my life since 1993, and here I am, it's 2020. I was in 3rd grade when the show entered into my life. So anyway, I hope all of you had something that gave you joy, either today or this week, something that gives you as much joy as Lois and Clark gives me. Anyway, tonight we do have the double feature night for our bedtime stories. And so I do want to encourage all our families and friends at David's United Church of Christ. I do want to encourage you to, we sent out that flat Jesus, the paper, the thing to print off or just show it on your phone. It was that picture of Jesus, and I encourage you to print it off and color it if you can, and take Jesus along with you wherever you go, and then post a picture of you and Jesus. It's just a fun way for our church to stay connected during these times. And so if you are able to do that, I would encourage you to do so, because it is, as I said, that we're trying our best right now at David's to remain connected with one another. And so that's just one of our ways to do that. I want to make sure. All right, there we go. I figured this out. All right, so I wanted to post it right on the Families of United Church, our family Facebook page. So we're going live right now, and it's on there. All right. So welcome to Bedtime Stories with Pastor Michelle. I've said that already, but it's worth repeating in case some of you are just now joining the show. So tonight is a double feature. Our first story will come from the Beginner's Bible. And our first story has to do with being a good neighbor, which is very important in this time. How can we be a good neighbor even while staying distant from one another, even while being physically distant? I know today at church, during our children's moment, I shared with the church several of the ways that our members, our friends and family of David's church, all the ideas, all the ways that we are out there trying to make a difference in the world. And I am encouraged. My faith in humanity continues to increase as I think about all the ways that our church, the people at our church, are actively out there trying to make the world a better place, even during these times of a pandemic. And so it's only appropriate that we hear a story from the Bible about a good neighbor. What is a good neighbor? And so here is our story. A good neighbor. I know that I should love God, a man once said to Jesus. I should love him with all my heart, and I should love my neighbor too. But who is my neighbor? So Jesus told him this story. There was once a man walking along a road. He was going on a trip. Suddenly, robbers jumped out at him. They hit him. They took all the things he had with him, and they left him hurt, lying by the road. A short time later, step, 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 someone came down the road. It was a man who worked in God's temple. he could help the hurt man. But no, when he saw the hurt man, he crossed the road. He passed by on the other side. Soon another man came, but he passed by too. So no one seemed to be helping this poor man. And there he is laying there, if you can see. Then, clop, clop, clip, along came a man on a donkey. This was a man from a different country. When he saw the hurt man, he stopped. He put bandages on his hurt places, and he took the man to a house where he could rest and get well. Jesus finished his story. He looked at the man. Who was a neighbor to the hurt man? Jesus asked. And the man answered, the one who helped him. Said the man, then you can be a neighbor to anyone who needs your help, said Jesus. And this is the story of the Good Samaritan. We won't go into the extreme amazingness of the story that Jesus used a Samaritan who was an outsider, but as being kind of the hero of the story. But a good neighbor is one who helps. And so I think even in these days, we can continue to be good neighbors. Perhaps you can give a little gift basket to your neighbor, or even just send them a note of encouragement. And this doesn't have to be our physical neighbors who live next to us. We can be good neighbors to anyone. And that's during this time of pandemic, I think that's what we need the world needs good neighbors. And so, like a good neighbor, we can be there. And we can join State Farm. Sorry, I just totally thought of State Farm when I said that. But I encourage us to continue to come up with ways that we can help others. We can bring more love and more compassion into this world that desperately needs more of those things to help us get through this pandemic. And so, my friends, our final story tonight comes to you from the Disney children's book that I have. And our story is centered around the Disney classic Beauty and the Beast. And our story is titled The Mysterious Book. And there is Belle. And I'll try to do it justice with some voices if I want to. What are you looking at, Belle? Chip asked. Belle smiled at the little teacup. Oh, you caught me daydreaming. Chip, she said, I was just looking up there. She pointed to the highest shelf in the Beast's library. On the shelf was a single book. Belle had wondered about that book since the day the Beast had first shown her the library. The trouble was none of the ladders quite reached the shelf, so the book had remained a mystery. Belle's curiosity had grown until she could hardly stop thinking about the book. She explained the problem to Chip, who went straight to his mother, Mrs. Potts. Mrs. Potts called a meeting of all the enchanted objects as soon as she told them about the book. They wanted to help Belle. What we need is a plan, Cogsworth said. Yes, Lumiere cried, and I've got one. That evening, the enchanted objects gathered in the library. First, the stove stood at the base of the shelves. The wardrobe climbed on top of him. Soon, a whole tower of enchanted objects stretched almost to the top shelf. Finally, Lumiere started to climb. He stretched as far as he could. What on earth are you doing? Belle exclaimed from the doorway. Oh, mademoiselle, Lumiere cried. You're just in time. Voila! With that, he finally managed to reach the book, knocking it off the shelf and into Belle's hands. A moment later, the tower collapsed in a heap. After Belle made certain that everyone was all right, she opened the book. Oh, she said when she saw the first page. What is it? Chip asked breathlessly. Belle smiled sheepishly. I can't believe it. I've already read this one. The enchanted objects sighed. Had all their work been for nothing? But thank you anyway, Belle said quickly. It's one of my favorites. It's full of far-off places, magic spells. Well, let me show you. Soon all the enchanted objects were gathered around as Belle read the book to them. And when you know it, it became one of their favorite books too. And there is the end of our second story about a mysterious book. And so, my friends, this concludes the double feature night. And I do encourage all of you to continue to be a good neighbor, to be a good human. And I encourage all of you to stay safe out there. Let's help however we can to decrease the spread of this virus. You know, wear a mask when you go out in public. Be safe and be kind to everyone that you meet. God bless all of you, and just know that if you ever need someone to talk to, just know that you can always reach out to myself or to Pastor Brian. I know at David's United Church of Christ, we are continuing to be the church as much as we can, even during these times. And so, my friends, God bless you all. Have a wonderful night and have wonderful dreams. God bless you.